everybody. My name is Jennifer Timsary. I'm going to do an Adobe Spark training for you guys. I'm really excited. It's just going to be over the graphics part of things. So 2 weeks ago, I did a training over all of Adobe Spark, kind of just a good overview of what it is, because there's 3 sections to it. But I'm just going to go over the graphics part today. So in a minute, I'll give you the slides and you guys can follow along. So I'm the one-to-one coach at Saxe High School. Here's my Twitter if you want to follow me on Twitter. And then Ardell Hamilton is the Naaman Forest High School Ready one-to-one coach. And she is helping me out in the chat. So if you guys want to post your questions in the chat, then towards the end, we can go over all of those questions with you. So if you need one-to-one help, we can do that. Or if you just have a quick question, just post it there. So here are the links to the sign in. They also are in the chat. So click on them. So sign in for me. And then the slides are also in the chat. So if you want to take those with you, you can. So you can use them if you need to. And then we'll get going here in just a second. But I'm so excited to have you. This is one of those things that I love so much. And I think that hopefully you will get some stuff out of it that you might not have known before. Okay, so you do not have to be a graphic designer to make good graphics. Adobe Spark is one of those programs that it allows anybody to create something really simple, or if you wanted to get complex, you can. So I'm going to kind of show you like the ins and outs of everything, but I tend to get more complex in Adobe Spark. That's just because I love to design. But if you're not a designer, it's completely okay. You can still use Adobe Spark to promote your school stuff and that kind of thing. So I'm going to show you how to use Adobe Spark to spice up your Google products, and then kind of social media stuff and flyers, and you can do all kinds of stuff in there. But I'm just going to show the graphics part of everything. And then and some of this is from last webinar. So if you were there, please don't think that we're just going to go over the same thing, because you will get new information this time, but some of it is the same. So students and teachers can use Adobe Spark to create personal branding. I think that with all of these P-TECH programs and all of these students trying to compete for jobs and compete to get into schools, I think that if they really took time to brand themselves, like what matters to them, like what do they want to do with their lives, and kind of create like a logo and then incorporate that into all their other products that they have, I think that, or like their social media, like make professional social medias. I think that would be really good for them to do. Twitter graphics. There's a link right there that says 16 ways to use Adobe Spark in the classroom. So it's just a blog post that talks about what you can do besides just some of the stuff that I go over. And then to get onto Adobe Spark, there's a web version and then there's an app version. There is slight differences to them, and I'll go over that a little later. But students can access the Adobe Spark app on their iPad, or when they're using their Chromebook, they're going to use the web version. So do know that you can use both. I tend to use the web version, but I really do like the app because it's really easy to move stuff around. And then when you're logging into Adobe Spark, you have to log in with your enterprise ID, which, let me back up for a second. When you log in as like you're getting onto Google, because there's an option to sign in with Google. And then from there, it'll switch you to a screen that says enterprise ID or personal ID. You want to use the enterprise ID because the district has given us access to the premium version. So you get premium templates and you get a way to do branding in there, which I think that is like so fun. So yeah, sign in with the enterprise ID. And then students have access to the premium account as well. So you can teach them how to get into it. Say you're a marketing teacher or you're a P-Tech teacher and you're wanting your kids to do personal branding or Avid, whatever, it doesn't matter. Any kid can do this, so they can use the premium version. You can also get to Adobe Spark when you log into Chrome. In the top left corner, there's a place that says Staff Apps. Well, you have to log in with your school credentials, but once you do that, if you click Staff Apps and then you scroll right here, it'll say Adobe Spark. You can just sign in through there, or you can just go to the website, whatever you want to do. So let's see here. So getting into the bulk of it, graphic design tip number 1. Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 tips. They are not like a must, you have to do this. It's just things that I like to follow when I'm creating graphics for social media or whatever it is, just because I think if you kind of have a guide on where to go, and it's good for students too. So if you are having students do that, please, you can use this with them, or you can take these tips and make your own slides, whatever you want to do. So graphic design tip number 1, when in doubt, keep it simple. So to me, I like things simple. I like it not to be too cluttered. It depends on what you're making. So sometimes it is fine when it's like you got a lot going on. It just depends on the look, but when in doubt, keep it simple. If you are like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, just keep it simple. And there's also pre-made templates. So this GIF that you're watching, it's showing you how to get to those pre-made templates. So there's a million in there that you can choose from. And then graphic design tip number 2 is maintain a strong contrast between the text and the background, and then add a stylish bar. So what I like to do, and I'll show you this in just a second. So what it does is it creates a visual interest to look at. If you have a crazy background and you're not really sure if people can read it and you don't know what to do from there, if you create like, and I use the shapes, so I'll show you that, but you can use the shapes in there and then you can make them gradient. So I'm going to actually go to Adobe Spark. So if you want to hop on and go to Adobe Spark with me, you can. Oop. Don't know what just happened. Okay, so if I go here, and then I'm going to open up, let me go to this one right here. Let's do, I'll go to this, I guess. So from here, when you get your graphic opened, okay, when you get your graphic opened, if you click on the text itself, it's going to pull up the text tools. So you have color, you can do shapes. So to create those borders around there, and I'll get more into this in a minute. If you click shapes, then you can add a visual interest behind there. If I get rid of this, it's harder to read. Obviously, you can tell that that's a little more difficult to read. So instead of just adding like a drop-down shadow, it looks good if you use these shapes. So the ones that I tend to gravitate towards, and I don't know why I do this, I always use the same ones. I guess I'm boring. So I use this one right here, and then I love the bar. I use that a lot. So if I'm posting on Twitter and I'm trying to advertise like a teacher's doing something awesome or a student is doing something awesome, I like to use these bars and then kind of put it towards the bottom. But you can do all kinds of stuff in here. So there's squares and so on and so forth. So if I click on it, I'm going to click on this one. All the tools will have padding right here. The padding will add extra space around your text. So you can adjust that. And then if you want to change the color, so if your colors are all weird and you need to change the color, just because you're on the shape tool doesn't mean you can't click over here on color. So this has to be pulled up for all of these to show, but you can still use this. So I could click on color if I wanted to, and then I can adjust the color. Or if I click on the type tool, because this is text, right here, this is what I like to do. A lot of times when I put shapes behind it, I like to change the opacity. So right now it's at 100%, which means we can't see through it. So if you drag it down a little, you can see it a little better. So, well, not see it a little better. It puts the behind graphic, you can kind of see it, but you can still read it. So it's still legible. So that is graphic tip number 2. And then let me change this really quick. Oh, that's strange. Where was I? Okay, so graphic tip number 3, and you do not have to do this, but I just think it's a fun website, so I wanted to show you guys. But Adobe Spark has amazing color palettes within there, but if you are still struggling to find like a color blend that you like, I like to choose color palettes for my projects. You do not have to, but if you're creating a brand, and I'll show you that in just a minute, but if you're creating a brand for, say, your fashion design club and you're not sure what you want to do, you can go on this website and kind of look around. So if I click on Adobe Color, it's going to take me to this awesome website. Maybe not. There we go. Okay, so if you see, there's color palettes, and then all of these down here do different things. And this is the hex color. This is the color, the hashtag and whatever code behind that. That's the thing you're going to copy and paste and put into Adobe Spark. But you can drag this around. You can find really cool color choices. You can find some not so good ones. It's just up to you. So, and I sometimes actually use this for other projects just besides graphic design, like if I'm trying to redecorate something, or I don't know, I just think it's like a fun website. So say I want this color right here, I'm going to copy it. And then when you go to Adobe Spark to actually paste it in, and before I do that, if you like this color palette, which is, it's kind of like funky and cool, I kind of like it. If you want to name it, you can. So I'm signed in through my Garland account, and it will save everything for you. So you can start saving color palettes if you want, so you can go back to them. And then anyways, you copy the hex code, and then you're going to go back to Adobe Spark. From here, you're going to go to color, and then all your colors pull up. And actually, let me get out of the text. So if I click in the gray area, it's going to bring me back here. So now I can see like the official color palettes. So these are all of the color palettes Adobe gives you, which there are plenty of choices to where you don't really need that website. I just think it's fun to use. So when you are trying to change your color choices, if you click where it says change color, it's going to pull in whatever that's highlighted with white is the color you're actually going to change. So say we want to change, what color to change to pink? Let's just change the tan color. So I go here and then I hit paste in, and now everywhere the tan color was, the new color will show up. So that's just something fun you can do. And I'm going to hit undo because I don't want to mess that little guy up. Okay. So graphic design tip number 4, use a single color once within your color palette to emphasize and make a point on certain things. So yes, you can bold, italicize, or underline, but sometimes just changing instead of doing the bold, italicize, or underline, because sometimes it makes things a little harder to read and it makes it less uniform, then you can change certain words in there to have different colors. So I'm going to show you that in a minute. It's actually done through the secondary style, so I'll show you that in a minute, but just know that that's something that I like to do instead of just bolding every time. And then graphic design tip number 5, I like to use a limited number of fonts. I don't tend to have like a million fonts, different fonts on there. You can do that. It is totally okay if that's the look you're going for. It's just, I usually just stick to 3 to keep it consistent. And 2, it saves time, because if you just have a couple, then you can figure out like, okay, this is my body and this is my heading 1, and then this is my titles or whatever. And then I like to use defont.com. If I click on here, and I'm going to show you guys actually how to use this. This GIF will kind of show you how to do the copyright, but I'm going to show you on the actual website. So I'm going to click there. And then from here, once it pulls up, okay, I love this site. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm 35, and I think that I used this in high school. It might have not been this exact same thing, but I downloaded fonts in high school, which is pretty crazy. So I like this site. There are others out there. This is just the only one I ever use because I trust it. So when I go here, and just know students can't download stuff to the school computers. They can't. So that's not in it for them, but they can do it to their personal computers if they want. So there's all kinds of different ones. I like the handwritten one, and I like the basics. I tend to flock towards those. Sometimes I'll use like retro, I don't know. There's all kinds of fun ones. So I'm gonna click on handwriting or handwritten. And then from here, I mean, there are a million font choices. So I always have a joke. I like give myself a timer because you can go down the rabbit hole pretty quick, and you can be sitting there for forever trying to figure out a font that you like. So just be mindful of that. It can suck your time up because you're like, oh, I kind of like that one. And then you forget which one it was or whatever. I usually write them down if I really like them. So right here, and this only shows up when you click on the actual, what am I saying? When you click on the actual font category, the preview shows up. So I always like to add a preview if I know exactly what I'm trying to type in. And then right here where it says more options, if you click there, you can do the one that says 100% free. So that way, you know, you're not breaking any copyright laws. You are not going to have to stress about that, and you're giving credit where credit is due because it's 100% free. So then I hit submit, and then from there, all the free ones. And the free ones, there are still some really good fonts in the free ones. I mean, there's some really great fonts in the other ones as well, but you have to be mindful of that. So this one right here, say I like that little guy, or this one. I actually use this one a lot. So if I wanted to download it, what all you do is you click download, and then you open it up, and you will add in, and I don't want to do it because it might take a second, but you'll just hit import, I think import. And then from there, when you go to Adobe Spark to actually upload the font in there, you have to click on the text tool, or you have to get your text tools pulled up. So I'm going to click on an image or on the text itself. So these tools pull up. And then from here, your fonts are here. So you do not have to use that website, just like the color palette. There's a lot of options in here, and you can click right here where it says browse Adobe fonts. That's actually, and that's something I need to go look at, because it's possible that with our premium, you could use these Adobe fonts. So I don't want to click on it, because if it does something where it takes me where I don't know where I need to go. So just test that out on your own and see how it works. But there are tons of fonts in here. If you're using a font from defonts.com, then you can click add your font, and then you can import your font from there. So do test that out though, because with our premium account, we may have access to more fonts than the regular person. So that's tip number 5. And then from there, I'm going to talk about branding. So I really think that branding in Adobe Spark is the most powerful and the most bang for your buck or for your time, because you can, let me get to, here we go. You can create a logo and then you can import it into your brand and you can change your colors, and it creates your graphics really fast. So if you are a teacher who wants to have a professional Twitter and you want everything to look the same, or if you are a coach or a sponsor of something and you want to kind of build a brand, so you want to make a logo for your organization and you want everything to look consistent and organized, this is where it's at, because with 2 clicks of a button, you can pick your template and then off you go and you just add your picture. It does take a little setup, so just know that it's not going to just happen in 1 second, but once you get everything set up, it's very, very powerful. And I think that students would benefit from this as well, so they could create their own logo and they could get their color choices and so on and so forth. And the really cool thing is, oh, what just happened? Sorry. If I go back to Adobe Spark, so to get to the branding, you're going to get to your home. And if you're not actually within a graphic, then you should see this if you're logged in. So if you click brands right here, then you will see all of your brands. And I have several now added, random ones, because I've been practicing on stuff. So you can click and delete them if I need to. So to create a brand, and the cool thing is you can create more than one. So if, say you are a senior sponsor and you want to advertise for all your stuff, you can do that and you can create a brand. Or you are do something in your personal life or whatever, you can create a brand. So you're going to click create a brand. And then from there, you are going to upload your logo, but first you have to make your logo. So when you're making your logo, be mindful, and this is something that I think is really important. Be mindful of where you're going to put your logo. Like what is it going to look like? So is it going to go into, like, on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter? All of the profile pictures is probably where you're going to put your logo. They're all round. That does not mean you have to have a circle logo, but, and this is just my suggestion because I like things a certain way, but what I like to do is, even if my logo is not round, I make sure that I have extra white space around it, so that way if I got rid of the background and I made it transparent, then all of the outside would fit in my profile circle. So, and see how I did not create a brand for my Twitter, but I have this right there. So I have put this in my profile picture. So, and it is not round, but I could size it to fit in there and nothing's going to be like hanging out the side, which that's just up to you. So my logo right here, I created this in Adobe Spark, and if I wanted to, and normally she's not in there, it's just that part, I could put that on a social media page or whatever. You don't have to, you don't have to use a social media page, but you can put your logo. I don't know what in the world is happening. You can put your logo wherever you want. Okay, so from here, I'm going to close that out. Here we go. So logos, yeah. So just be mindful of where your logo is going and kind of create your logo around your ideas of where you want it. So like this little guy, that's a good logo, or like the shape of it, circles are good. What I like to do, honestly, if you're horrible at graphic design or you just are stumped and you have no idea where to start, sometimes I will just go to the internet and I'll search logos or graphic design logos, and there's a ton of ones that are out there. And no, you can't just copy them, but you can kind of get an idea of like, oh, they put this here and they kind of built this here. So that way it just kind of gives you inspiration, right? And then I'm going to skip this step. You would actually upload your logo here. I'm going to skip that. And then you would pick a color. And then the cool thing is I wish that I should add a logo, but I don't know where it is in my files. It'll take me forever to find it. If you add a logo, the colors are going to automatically adjust for you. So that's good news. So like if you put your school logo in there, it's going to automatically adjust your colors perfectly. And then, so let me just pick a color for now. Let's pick that little guy right there. Okay, so from here, then I click on choose your font, and then I'm just going to pick one, but you can take time choosing your font, and then hit next, and then ask you to name it. So I'm just going to do that. And then from here, you can, so sometimes people have more than one logo. If you see, some companies will have more than one logo depending on like where they're putting it. So you can add more than one if you need to. And then the cool thing is you can add more colors. So if your thing didn't automatically add a bunch of colors, then you can add more, and you can use that color website I gave you guys. And then over here, fonts, you have, if you click right here, edit, you can change your heading fonts and your body font. And so it only gives you 2 options. And, well, it might give you more. Let's see. Replace font. Oh, right here. Hello, Earth to me. So you can add more if you want. So I usually don't use more than 3 fonts, but that's up to you. So that kind of gives you a guide. So a bolder font, one that's easy to read, and maybe a cursive. I don't know. And then from here, this is pretty cool. You have where you can create templates. So if you know, so this one's right here, say that's a story on, excuse me. If that's a story on Instagram, then you could already have your template set up. That way all you had to do was add a new photo and change your text. So you can create templates here. And then if you look down here, so I went over page and video last Adobe Spark webinar, but I love that they do this. So they have within page, you can choose a light version, a medium, and a dark, and same thing with the videos. And obviously if I chose different colors, it would look different. But yeah, it's just really, it's really, really fun. And I think that if you get into creating your brand, the time that you put into it is gonna pay off big when you're going to like post something on the internet. Excuse me. So, okay. Okay, moving on. So adding photos, I like to use Adobe Lightroom app if I need to edit a photo, and I use that just on my cell phone. You do not have to use that. It's free to use, but you can pay for an upgrades, but I don't ever pay for anything on there. I create my own presets, which you do not have to do that. But that little one, that GIF on the left, that is a preset I've made. And so a lot of my like family photos, even I just like upload the photo and I hit preset and then I'm done. My photo is bright and ready to go. And then you can upload that to Adobe Spark. So just keep in mind, they do have amazing stock photos. So let me show you that really quick. I'm gonna get back to a project so we can just practice on some stuff here. Okay. So from here, stock photos, and you can upload photos multiple ways. So if you've chosen a template from over here, it usually will give you a photo. If you don't like the photo, you can always click on it. And usually it's on the background. But right here, you can click replace if you want. And then you have options You have free photos. There's Adobe Stock. You may or may not have access to that depending on how your account is. I doubt you guys have the Adobe Stock, but you can try it. Maybe the premium account comes with it. I have a different version, so I can't test it out, but right here is the free photos, and then you can upload. So sometimes if I'm doing something for, say, I find a student doing something awesome, if they have the public thing checked off in Skyward, then I can upload a photo of them, but sometimes I'll put it in that Lightroom app and I'll make it brighter so it's like you can actually see it. And then I'll upload it in here and then I'll import it in. But anyways, you can click on find free photos and then you can just type in whatever. If I wanted to type in computer and I click there, I mean, it's that easy. All those pictures are free to use. They're awesome. I mean, some of them are, but most of them are really, really good and they're good quality. Like they're not going to be fuzzy on you. And then, yeah. So you can also, with images, if you click, so I've clicked off of the background. I just clicked in the gray. So all of these pull up. If I click add, and then I click picture or photo, excuse me, this pulls back up and I can click free photo and then say I did art again. And then I wanted to add in, let's do this guy right here. So say I want to add in him. If you're not replacing an image, this will pull up. So you can either add to collage where it's going to add a section for you, or you can do it where it says move freely. So I'm going to do move freely. And this is actually new. I don't know how new, but I remember when I first started in Adobe Spark, that was not an option. So it's kind of frustrating because sometimes I wanted to layer pictures on top of each other, but it wouldn't let me. And so then I would just like go to Photoshop because it was a lot easier for me. But now that they have that, so much better. So that was move freely, and you can move it around and you can do the same thing. Change opacity. You can adjust the order. So if it's in front of somewhere and you need it somewhere different, you can crop to a shape and you can crop. So I kind of like crop to a shape right here. Say I wanted it cropped to a square with rounded edges, I could do that. There we go. See how easy that is? Like, I mean, come on. It's so easy. And I love it. I mean, it just takes time to get used to all of these tools. So just keep with it because I promise the more you use it, the easier it gets. So, and just know with images or text or anything, if you're clicked on something on your post, options are going to show up over to the right. So like with image, or I could add a filter if I wanted to. I can, yeah, so you can do all, there's like the blur effect, which I don't ever use. It makes me dizzy, but you can use that if you need to. Yeah, so that's images. And then adding text. So under the add text button in Adobe Spark, there's already pre-made ones, and I'll show you that, and then I'll kind of show you how to move text around. With the type tool, there are all of these options over here, and this GIF kind of just shows you different things. So we'll go over that. And then one of the things that I love, and this was tip number, I can't remember what tip it was, but it was talking about adding like a shape behind your text so you can read it a little better or make a little more emphasis on certain areas. That's with the secondary type tool, and I love that. So let me show you guys that. And then the animation feature, this guy, it is one of my favorites. But with the issue with this, you have to use the app to do it. So you can either use the app on your iPad or your whatever type of phone you have. It works on Android. You can use it on your iPhone. So it's the app and it's the animation button. So once you're in there, and I can't show you, but there is a GIF, you can kind of look at where the button is and kind of what it does. So You can say you created a logo and you kind of wanted it to be animated, and so you can post it somewhere. You can go in here and do the animation button, pick your one that you like, and then you can save it as a GIF. So it's pretty cool. And then I'll show you a GIF maker later if for some reason it saves as a video and it saves as a video and you need to go back and make it a GIF. So I'll show you that. Kind of. I'm not going to show you fully how to do it, but I'll show you at least where to go. And then right here you have, oh, I didn't go over the text. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so we're going to go over all of the text stuff really quick. So if you go to Adobe Spark, get on your graphic, whatever you've added in if you're practicing with me. If I click on the text, remember the tools pull up because I'm clicked on it. And then over here, I'm on the type one right now. I have the fonts. You have left, center, right. I like this capitalize and fit. Sometimes it doesn't always work out right because it will make certain words bigger that you don't want to emphasize and then other ones smaller. So it just depends on how many words are on in your section. And then you can adjust the size here. You can adjust letter spacing, which does that. That makes stuff a little more modern. If you just leave everything just at 0 all the time, usually if you start noticing graphics more often, you'll notice that they sometimes will have a little bit of spacing in between the letters. Not all the time, but a lot on like banner headings and stuff. And then line spacing, obviously, you can adjust and see how even like it close like that, that's still cute. Or you can put space in between. And then opacity and order, that's there as well. Okay, so let's see, there's color. So right here, let me tell you how to do color first. When I click on this, I can choose a different color if I wanted to, and they're all the same. So if I click right here, and let me hit, I'm going to hit undo. If I click on color change, it will pull this up, and I kind of went over this earlier. So whatever one is white, you know that it's the color you're changing it to. So if I clicked here, it's going to adjust my color. And then if I wanted to change this color, you could do that. So, or you can shuffle. So I like the shuffle sometimes because if I'm not sure where I want my coloring, then I use the shuffle button. So that shuffle, see how it does like different things. But right now I'm only on the primary. That's why webinar is the only one that's changing. And then you can add shape. We already went over that. Text, that's just like outlines and shadows, which I like sometimes. So, and I don't know if it's, anyways, so you can play around with that. I'm going to hit undo. And then the style, this is really fun for students. They like to do this. I don't always use it because I already know what I want and I don't feel the need to like go in a circle to figure out kind of what I want it to look like. But it is fun, and I think that it's fun to know how to do. So if I clicked on, say I click on this and I move it, I'm going to move it right here. This circle guy, if I click and I drag around, do you see how it does? It just kind of changes the way it looks. It's kind of fun. The students like it because they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know, it looks good. Or anybody, it doesn't have to be a student. Then they can get there. Just know it's, if you want to get back to the original one, I mean, it's a struggle. So if you are going to use that style thing, I suggest duplicating, which is right here. I should have duplicated that before I tried to do that, because trying to go back is like a nightmare. So that's probably why I never use it. I'm not going to lie to you, because yeah, I'm not even going to fool with that. Whatever. So we'll just put that guy back up there. And I'm not a fan of that font, but that's me. You guys can use it all you want. Okay. Let me see here. So From here, I'm going to show you the secondary type style because it kind of makes an emphasis. So this right here, this sentence right here, the secondary style is orange. So to adjust it, if you click on the secondary one, you can hit the trash button. And now I just have a primary, which is just my normal coloring. If I want to add a secondary, then I would click right here, secondary style. And then it's orange. If I don't like the orange and I want to change it to that blue, this is what you need to know. You have to, just because you're clicked right here doesn't mean you can't go click on the color. So you would have to click back on the color and then you can pick your color that you want. So that is how you change the color for the secondary. And then if you don't like, and it's hard to see, but when you add it, it just adds it any random place with whatever you've selected. So right now I only want Monday to have that teal color. So if I click on Monday and I don't want this, then I would just need to click back on it. So it's that simple. It's literally just clicking and you can click back off. So it switches between the primary and the secondary. So that's another way, instead of bolding something, instead of bolding something, which there's not even bold in here. Huh, I never noticed that. See, learn something new every day. So yeah, that is secondary color. I use that a lot. And then let's see, animation feature, we went over that. We are almost done, you guys. So from here, resize layout. Resize your graphic anytime to fit across all medias. It allows for you to adjust really quickly. So this is where that branding comes into play. If you actually go in there and you create a graphic for Instagram and for Twitter or whatever, then it makes things even faster. But just know if you're in there and you're like, oh, I need this to be an Instagram story. If you click on Instagram story, it's gonna adjust everything to the perfect size, but not everything's gonna look perfect on there. So you do have to do adjusting. So it's good and bad, but it's helpful to already have the sizing there. And then adding more graphics, I'll show you the layout right there. So really quickly, if you click, and you have to click back on your gray area to get this pulled back up. If I click layout, there are all your options. So you can add in, and you don't have to add in pictures in every one. You could just have a section that's just a solid color, so you can add type text on there. And then you can adjust the borders. So there's the bordering. You can move content within layout. Yeah, so you can play around with that. And then resize. Right here, this is the thing that I think is the most powerful, because you can find your sizing perfectly. So if you're posting on Twitter and you need a certain size and you're not sure what to do, you know how when some people post on Twitter, which is totally fine, because I do it too. Like if I just want to be in a hurry and I want to put something on Twitter, sometimes I don't change my graphic. But if you want it to look a little more professional, then you can go and get those perfect sizes and add your stuff in. If I go down here, so under social post, you guys can see there's all different ones in there. There's print, which would be if you're going to make a flyer to print off on the actual printer, 8.5 by 11, or there's poster size. And some people in your building might have a poster printer, which we're not in our building, which is another sad story for another day. But social profile, here you go. I use this one probably the most. I will update my Facebook cover when I upload videos to YouTube. I like to add a channel art, that way it doesn't just show the first slide of my video. Twitter header, right here, that's my Twitter header. I created that in Adobe Spark. You do not have to do that stuff. It just makes it look a little more uniform. I think it would be really good for students to create professional Twitters and actually make things look nice and follow those like people that they're passionate about, like, or not people, but I mean, yeah, I guess people that they're passionate about or topics they're passionate about. That way they have more good stuff on the internet. That's for another day though. There is, you can create graphics and adjust that way. So just know that that's in here. And there's all different ones. So I'm not going to go over everyone. We'd be here all day. Okay, graphic size for G Suite. Okay, I really love Google. I think it's seamless, and I think it's, once you know how to work everything, it's really, really beneficial. And sometimes though, I am not always digging their templates they have for like Google Classroom's banner. So I like to make my own. And I've given you the pixels here. Some of the banners you can find in there. So like for social posts, but for Google products, how cool would it be if they would add in the actual size? I mean, maybe I need to email Adobe Spark and tell them to get on that, but I doubt it. Okay, so YouTube thumbnail, you can get to that one's actually in there, but all of these are not, so these are what I use. Just know, and this is the one that is, if you use the Google Sites and you create a banner in Google Site or for Google Sites, it's the only one that when you adjust your screen size, it's gonna adjust it to look funny. So let me show you what that means. If I go to a Google site that I've created and I hit preview, if you look down here, and it depends on your monitor size as well. So I have this little guy, that's the tablet, that's what it looks like on the tablet, and that's what it looks like on the phone. So if you notice the logo right here, it gets cut off, and I really need to change that. So what I like to do on Google Sites is I like to keep my banners simple and easy to read. I don't like to put a lot of text in there because then it makes everything kind of blurry and hard to read. But if I click on here, there we go. So this one doesn't have the logo on it and it just looks a little more clean. So just keep that in mind. Google Sites is the only one that adjusts it doesn't adjust proportionately when you have different tablets. I don't know if that's the correct way. I'm going to close that out though. Okay, so from here, where was I? So you can do all of these. Google Classroom. Just be mindful in Google Classroom, you would click right here, upload. I don't like the ones that are in here. I feel like they used to have more, and maybe I'm just thinking of Google Forms. And of course it's not loading, but that's where you go to load it. And then, well, okay, see, technology doesn't always work the way you want it. It's not responding. So just be mindful, because in Google Classroom, you have your label of your class. So you want to keep it more simple, just because it's hard for students to read, like, oh, what is that class? I can't see it. So when they have it actually open, even though it tells them in the top left corner. Okay, I'm going to close that out. Where was I? Okay, Google Forms. So let me show you that really quick. This is the size for Google Forms, 1600 by 400 pixels. I can't talk. So I created that little banner, and I love it because it just is visually appealing, and you can add in your colors that complement it on the side. So if I go to, it says no connection. I don't know what that's for. That's not good. Okay, if I go to Adobe Spark and I hit, and I haven't showed you guys this, to actually start one, if you click create project and you go here, you're going to see where it says flyer, Instagram posts, Facebook cover, and whatnot, custom graphics. And your branding graphics, that's where your branding comes into play, because you can click there and then go find the template you need. I usually will just click custom size, just because it pulls this up and it's a little easier for me to see it. I don't know, that's just what I've always done. So to do custom size, you click here. So we need 1600 by 400. and then I can click next. So here we go. And then from here, remember, you can spice up Google products, but keeping it simple is best, just because if you have a little logo, you can put your little logo on there, but keep the backgrounds not so busy, makes it easier. So if I was going to add a photo, I'd click photo really quick. I would hit upload. Oh, not upload. You could upload a photo. If I go to free photos and I do, say I do computer, and then I want to add this little guy right here, I would do, usually with the banner, I do pin to background. And you can, well, my internet is just not working so well. So anyways, you would add the photo, you can adjust the scale, you can whatever you need to do, and then you can add stuff on top of that. If I wanted to add my name, I could do that. And then to use it, you would just hit, who knows what happened to that picture. My internet is messed up. If you hit download, then you can go to Google Forms, and when you click blank, oh gosh, I'm like, I really hope my internet doesn't freeze, but we're good. Okay. Okay, so from here, if I click setting, no, not settings. See, that got me flustered. Okay, if I click customize theme, and then I would do choose image. So in here, there is a bunch of options, and they're actually pretty good. But if you want to make your own, say you are the PTech coordinator, or you are the magnet coordinator, or you are, I don't know, whatever, and you want to have everything look the same, you can upload your photo and you can adjust your coloring. It may adjust your coloring according to your image, which it's probably smart enough to do that. I'm sure it does it, and I don't even notice that it does it because I use this stuff all the time. So that is Google Forms. And then, yeah. So adding icons, and this is just something extra that I like to do. I'll show you how you can use icons to layer your graphics and kind of make your own templates. It's kind of more, not, I don't say advanced because anybody can do it. It's just something that people don't usually think about doing because there's a million templates in Adobe Spark that you can use, but it's something that I like to do, so I want to show you guys. So maybe you'll like it too. So if I go back, work, yay. Okay, if I go back here to my image, and let's see, right here. So this one, I made two circles on top of each other to create kind of a sections, and then I use the shapes to do it. So when you do it, you click add, and then you click icon. It's not shapes, it's icon, excuse me. I click icon, and then you can type in circle, and you can choose that. And then from there, you can change the color over here if you need to, okay? So there's that. And then, oh, let me show you one other one. So that is one way you can use shapes. If I go to, see if I can get to that. I'm almost done, you guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Okay, create graphic. And then from here, I'm gonna click right here. And if you look at this YouTube cover I created, that play purple icon, that's an icon in Adobe Spark that I just added on top of an image. So you can do stuff like that if you know you need like the Twitter icon or the Facebook icon. Say you're doing an advertisement for your school and you want people to know where your information is, you can do that. So from here, I like to put shapes on top of each other to make a pattern or kind of break it up instead of things just being up and down. So if you don't find a template you like, which you totally can use those, but this is just something I always do. So there is actually a triangle And then there is and I think that's actually, I think I used a layout here. So that's the images in one and then the white parts in the other part of the layout. But then I was like, I didn't want all my text on the white and then my picture here. So I just added a triangle on top and then I just move it over. Just be mindful if you do this. Just be mindful where your gap is, because I've so many times have like, oh, that's lovely. There's a tiny triangle up there. So just be mindful of that. So yeah, I'm going to delete that and kind of show you how I did that really quick. Oh no, my computer is buzzing. Okay. So I click on icon and then I'm going to type in triangle. And this is the only bone I have to pick with Adobe. Well, there might be another, but I love Adobe Spark. So just know whatever you see is what you get. You cannot adjust the angle of the item that you're trying to use. So if you want to use this triangle, but you need the triangle a little skinnier, it's not happening. It'll just make it smaller when you try to adjust it. So just know that I sometimes will have to choose a couple. So click here. Once you add your icon, you might need to change your color. So I'm going to make it white really quick. And then I'm going to make it bigger. And I'm going to put it right here, like so. And then obviously you don't want to leave it like that because you can't see what you wrote. So if you click back on icon, you can adjust your orders. So you can go down until you get see, and you don't want to do that because then it goes behind. So just pay attention to your order. But that's how I like to do stuff. You can even add like a thin line and angle it so you kind of have two layers on top of each other. I mean, the options are endless. If you're struggling with like trying to figure out how to make it look nice, sometimes I will just go to the internet and I'll type in like advertisement templates or whatever, and it will show kind of like a layout. There's one website that I always go to that you can pay for stuff, but I don't pay for it. And what I usually do is I just kind of look at kind of how they put stuff together, and then I try to make my own, because you can do that. And then let's see, you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this. So Bitmojis, I love Bitmojis. I think they're so fun. I would put a Bitmoji on everything. So I use the extension. You can use the app. And you import the extension. It's here. You just right click and hit save. So with Adobe Spark, just know it is not like the other Google products where when you download, you can click, you know how when you download something, it'll go in the bottom left corner and you can click and you can drag it onto your Google slide and then there it is. That does not happen. When you try to drag that thing from the bottom left corner onto your Adobe Spark, it's going to just show that picture on the website and your Adobe Spark is gone, which you can get back to it. You just have to hit the back arrow. So just know you have to upload every time. So, and I showed you that on the GIF, you have to upload. So you can do, just know PNGs will usually put clear, not clear, transparent, or you can call it clear if you want to keep things simple, right? It'll put a transparent behind there. So PNGs will get rid of the white on the background. If it's a JPEG file, it's usually going to have the white on there. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at images. And then the GIF maker, you can use this to make GIFs. There's a lot of other options. All of these GIFs that I made here, I use Screencastify, and then within Screencastify, under the download area, when you get done recording, under the download area, there's one that says turn into a GIF or something like that. So that's what I used, but there's so many other options out there. So if you like another GIF maker, go for it. And then here are my helpful hints. 16 ways to use Adobe Spark. Canva is another great tool. It's like Adobe Spark. I just went over Adobe Spark. So you could explore that and see how you like that. And then let's see what else here. Oh, there's post page and video. I went over that in my last webinar. I just think that the post, which is what we just covered, it's called the post. So if you're on the iPad and you're downloading the app, it's the post app, which is this one on the bottom left corner. That's what it looks like. But I think if you can get the graphics part correct, then you can add in graphics that you made in your page, and you can add in graphics that you made in your video or to your Google products and whatnot. So check that out if you want. It's on the digital learning site. And then, yeah, my name is Jennifer Timsbury. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really love graphic design. I think it's so fun, and I think it's good to keep like things consistent and know this is not for like everyday use, like, oh, I just need to make a quick something. Like if you want to build a brand or you want to make things consistent and look good, or you want to decorate your room with flyers, whatever you want to use it for. I hope you found use in this, and thank you, Ardell, for being in the chat, manning our chat. You're amazing, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day and happy quarantining.